Hello, my name's Thomas and welcome to my next art advice video. I don't know what to call these things really. I'm not so natural on the camera, but let's get straight to the point. Today's video is going to be about how do you transition from an A-level or a college environment into the environment of university for a fine art or a creative kind of degree, which puts you in a studio place, mostly in an independent working manner. So how do you transition from A-levels to university if you didn't do a foundation in art and design or anything else? So first of all is to understand the aim of a foundation is to bring you away from the rigid format of A-levels. The format of A-levels is much more you could say prescribed. You have points you have to follow, boxes you have to tick, which is the same case in university, but university is far more of your own ideas and they just tick you off in relation to how you structure those ideas. But A-levels kind of give you ideas to work with and then you have to follow those ideas. So it's much more open in a university environment. So the university environment is supposed to help you develop that independent thought process and give you an independent practice, which is supposed to make you a living by the end of those 3 years. So what will a good foundation do? A good foundation should do several things. Number one is to introduce you to different crafts, and by crafts I mean like painting, printmaking, sculpture. If you don't have a foundation which is focused on one thing, they should be introducing you to several different crafts for you to understand kind of what are you interested in and then what can you kind of home in and focus on. Number two, once you've had an introduction to those things, you should be able to focus on one of them because you need to spend your time refining your skill set in one aspect to really, I think, begin to produce quality work. So I'd argue a good foundation will give you an idea of kind of what you're interested in, and then they'll say, okay, here you go, you can spend more time on this one thing and develop your skills further in this. Number three, independent thought process. A good foundation will give you an independent thought process in terms of, they'll teach you how to organize research and how does your research relate to your work and give you constructive feedback. The tutors there should be criticizing in a positive manner your research, how it relates to your work, and is your work really being produced in a way that complements your research and vice versa. Number four, last point would be literally a combination of all of the points I already made alongside any other bonus material that the foundation course would offer, such as individual lectures to teach you about specific topics, gallery visits, these sorts of things, these extracurricular, I don't know if you call it extracurricular kind of stuff, but this all contributes to obviously the artistic experience and awareness. So that's in essence what a good foundation should be giving you and setting you up for a university environment. So now that we've understand really what's the point of a good foundation, how do you get that if you don't have a foundation or you're not going to do a foundation and you're going straight from A-levels into a fine art degree? I'll be explaining a little bit of what my own foundation did for me in terms of practical things I can tell you guys to do. And on top of that, I'll be giving my own personal advice of how I've developed over the years and things that have helped me develop my own kind of independence in the studio. So regarding the first point in terms of, I guess, learning about different aspects of fine art. So that would be painting, printmaking, sculpture. Those are the three main crafts. Yes, so personally I'm a painter, so I always knew I was going to be a painter. I've always been interested in paint. If you already have that interest and you know what you want to do, then it makes your life a lot easier. Just focus on that. Unless you want to just try an introduction to other things, you can either book a short course, try and get in contact with an artist who's doing that. Literally watch videos online, visit websites, ask people, message your favorite artists on Instagram who do this. Like lots of them reply, they're friendly people. There's lots of things you can do to expose yourself to a certain craft and get a feel of whether you might like to do it or not. Another easy way to really decide what you're interested in is, what artwork are you most interested in? What's the aesthetic kind of, what appeals to you in terms of, I guess, aesthetically, or get a collection of all your favorite artists. What do they do? Are most of them painters? Then I'd say that's a sign you're interested in painting. Are most of them sculptors? If they are, then think about working from a three-dimensional, in a three-dimensional sense. So after you kind of focused in on that one thing, try to do everything you can to learn about that craft. So if it's painting, as I said, expose yourself to different painters, experiment, understand the material, understand the different qualities of paint. There's so much information online alone, but if you can work with an artist or get your hands on someone who knows the craft already, this is one of the best ways to learn, because they can give you all the shortcuts. And practice, 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 practice. In the same way a footballer is not going to get good just watching other people play. It helps, but you need to be using the material. You need to be working hard to understand it. And it's taken me years to even begin to understand oil paint. And I'm not going to, say I'm the hardest worker in the world. I think I've improved dramatically over the years. And right now I'm in a very energetic state, which I'm happy about. But all I can say is you will know a material better, you will know a craft better. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better you will get. I guess I'll just quickly refer to point 2. That was about the focusing on that craft, but I'll take the aspect now of, not only do you need to learn the technical side of things. So for example, you could learn how to do the technical side of things and get used to the material or what you're using. But now you need to think about your subject and your research. How does that material relate to your ideas? Are there different ways to use that material? And what's the best way to communicate your ideas through the medium that you've chosen to, refine your skill in? Okay, now I'm going to refer to the third. Okay, so now I'm going to refer to the third point I made about kind of research, organization. In my foundation course, which was the Raw Drawing School, I would highly recommend it. I, of course, was a student. I'm biased towards the course, but for good reasons. I genuinely do not think that there is a better foundation course in London. In the Raw Drawing School, my foundation, we had what would be called a research journal or research file and a learning journal. Now, the research journal is kind of obvious what it is. It's the information, the ideas, the material that fuels your studio practice. So this could be other artists' work, photographs, your own photographs, other people's, newspaper articles, films, TV, whatever it is that you're interested in that builds up the foundation of your ideas and what you're trying to present as an artist. This is what goes into that file. And alongside annotations and an organization of your thoughts on these subjects. And that would all go into a file, which is called the research file or research journal, whatever you want to say. Now, personally, I've moved away from a physical research journal. We had physical research journals in my foundation year. We had the option of digital or physical in my university, so I went digital because I feel like it's much easier to organize, and I don't like having a physical thing because my research is always changing, my interests always change, the artists I'm interested in, most of them rotate, with a few main being kind of at the core of my work. But I don't like this physical changing of stuff, so I just like to keep it digital, and I'll just print if I feel the need to print current small things I'm interested in to keep around the studio. but then the bulk of my research is all digital and organized into different folders, and then when it came to examination I would organize it into an ordered PDF file, which got me good marks. So as for the learning journal, this was literally a reflection on what you did during the day, and I know this isn't for everyone, but as you're getting used to this idea of independent work, you really need to reflect on what you're doing in the day. So this is just a small book. Literally, you can be like, okay, this morning I did a still life drawing session. There were oranges and I realized I can't draw circles. No, done. Next up, my own afternoon was spent on my own studio practice. I realized that charcoal is very nice to draw with because it has painterly qualities to it. So when I'm drawing with charcoal, it's easier for me to translate that into a painting. Say something like this, and then you have that. And when you write it down on paper, it really helps kind of begin to organize your thoughts, and you keep track of what you're doing as a practicing artist. So when you come to university and you already have this structure behind you, it drives your ideas and it fuels, it really, I feel like so many people just sit there and they're like, I'm gonna wait for the next genius idea, or I'm gonna wait for the next idea to just come from the sky and hit me in my head. And then when people are just doing all this bullcrap work, I'm saying this because I've done this myself, where I haven't done anything to fuel my ideas or anything to really inspire me. Like, inspiration doesn't work by just sitting there and hoping something will come. You have to do to inspire yourself. So, as I said, I'm speaking from my own experience as well, where everyone, including me, sometimes, not everyone, but sitting there before assessment, you have no ideas, you don't really care, and you just do some next up crap. Let's just say I was interested in landscapes, just do some random bloody landscapes, meaningless, pointless, waste of time. You get a standard kind of passing grade, and then it's just like, okay, moving on to the next. Like, what's the point? And as I said, like, I'm guilty of this as well. So you need to really think about what is more meaningful in your practice, and how can you work towards something more meaningful in terms of your craft, technical skills. How does that relate to your ideas? And really think about these things deeply. And if you keep these journals and research in an organized manner, it really does help your ideas become more mature and progress more quickly. I don't know if that. And to address the final point about, obviously, foundation course can offer bonus kind of material, whether it be lectures, gallery visits and stuff. If you're in an area that has galleries, you can go out to galleries independently. This is an option for you. At the same time, look out for events. For example, visiting artist talks. There are some institutions who sometimes invite artists to do lectures and talks. Try to maybe find a local magazine or newspaper. They sometimes list all these events, and be open-minded. Some of them are crap, but at least you can take note of what is crap and what isn't. And sometimes you think something will be rubbish, and there might be something small in that exhibition, or something small someone says in a lecture that really inspires a whole new idea that comes into your practice, or just a perspective that they share. Maybe you might not like the aesthetic of the work, but the idea behind it and the process behind it might be very interesting to you. So I know there's a lot of I'd say nonsense when it comes to some shows and some presentations, and keep an open mind. That's all I'm saying. Now, one book I was recommended by a tutor in my foundation course was The Story of Art by E.H. Gombrich. This was a fantastic introduction to, like, literally the full history of art, which helps you kind of, I guess, place yourself a little bit better within the artistic universe. And a lot of kind of ideas and interests can be fueled from what you see in this. And nowadays there's some very kind of well-known artists and I guess artists within the contemporary scene who you could say reinterpret old works or visit, many artists obviously visit old ideas and concepts and make them relevant now in a contemporary context. So I would definitely recommend this because if you know this inside out, then you're kind of very educated in terms of the general history of art, and you'll understand a lot of kind of old names and whatever that tutors might mention to you, and then you will look impressive when you get to your degree. I hope the video has been useful. If anyone has any more questions, please leave them below. I'll make more videos out of the questions or answer you the best as I can in the comment section, or drop me a message on Instagram. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and I wish you the best for your artistic career. Questions if I think it's necessary, and you can, oh, come on.